great branded backdrop, Buzanski. Wow.
Hey, man, LitHub did it for us, man.
Welcome to the 3% Podcast, the bi-weekly podcast brought to you by Open Letter and 3%, in which we talk about publishing, book selling, and everything else. I'm Chad Post from Open Letter Books, and today we have a special episode in which we will have 5 different booksellers on here to talk about books that they're reading and that they're enjoying and want to recommend, anything that's going on at their store, so on and so forth. Right now on the call, we have Nick Buzanski from Books Are Magic, Shuchi Saraswat from Brookline Booksmith, Emma Ramadan from Riffraff, and Stephen Sparks from Point Reyes Books. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
I'm probably aging myself, but every time I'm on a Zoom call, I remember the Hollywood Squares.
yeah. And people always say Brady Bunch.
Yeah,
I think the Hollywood Squares makes more sense. So everyone's here. So how are you guys? How are things? I mean, just generally, how are things going for your various stores? And we'll give you each a chance. So what we're going to do is each person's going to have a chance for 10 minutes to talk about things that are going on, any books that they want to recommend, so on and so forth. But we figured at the start we could just like generally hang out for a few minutes and get the feel of everything that's going on. And we are now joined by Christina Rodriguez from Deep Vellum too.
Oof. Let me see. Hey. Sorry.
Hey, so we're all here. So how are things going generally for you guys now compared to the beginning of this nonsense?
Who do you want to go first?
I feel like we're finally getting a hang of all of this, and it's gonna all change again.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you feel like you get it. We're probably, I don't know when we're gonna open up again, but I'm sure it's gonna be that slow, kind of a few people in and fulfilling orders, and yeah. So it's just sort of, it's very weird. I don't think it stopped being weird or uncertain.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I was just talking to Meryl Spack about stuff, which he listens to the podcast. So hi, Meryl. But he was planning on moving up here and opening a store this fall.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. I met with him. I met with him about that.
Yeah.
So did I.
Yep. Which I thought about it when we were talking. It's just like, oh, that's so sad. Like it was such a great plan and idea and everything. And now I feel like he's like, well, you know, it wouldn't make sense because they were going to be near the Strong Museum, and Strong's projecting like 1 million visitors a year with their new expansion. But now I give 1 million people visiting a kids museum. So it sounds like horrible.
Yeah.
Especially because kids are disgusting. They're just spreading shit everywhere.
Correct.
I mean, up until we stopped having like the last day of pickups, like there was a kid who literally like put his mouth against the glass of the store and like blew like just had his mouth against the door, and I was like, we can't do pickups anymore. Like this is no good.
Oh my god!
But like, you know, they're kids. What are you gonna do?
My daughter's desperate to see her friends, and so you let her see her best friend from like a socially distanced safe zone last weekend. But like, I don't think that they really obeyed that at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're kids. They don't understand. It's weird enough being an adult in this time.
Yeah,
I can't imagine going to all of a sudden like there's just no. You can't do anything.
You don't see your friends, your cohort at all.
Yeah.
At least they have TikTok. They have something going for them. So that's all they're ever doing. But you can see like if you were to see out into my house at any point in time, Aiden, who turns 13 tomorrow, will have a phone in front of him and just start doing some weird motions, some weird dance thing. It's like all herky jerky and like crazy. And I'll be like, whoa, what's that? And he's like, oh, it's for TikTok. Got to get that up on the TikTok. And it'll say like a word, like it's the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know what that possibly means. Like, it doesn't feel like a thing. But cool, go do you, Aiden. But anyways, well, let's get started and let you guys introduce and talk about what's going on, any special things that you're doing. And we start with you, Emma. You're up first.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? I mean, in terms of how things are going at Riffraff, I mean, you hear a lot from Tom on the podcast normally. What we're dealing with now is our state just dropped stay at home and is letting non-essential retail reopen as of Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're sort of in this position now where we have to, sorry, my dog's gonna be, I took away her squeaky toy because she was being too loud and now she's desperate for it. Anyway, we have to,
It's so
I'm so
good.
sorry. We have to decide whether or not to reopen, which obviously I think would be insane. I don't want us to reopen, neither does Tom. We're on the same page with that. But we have to figure out, these regulations that they put out for what it will look like when retail businesses do open are insane. I mean, we can't sanitize a bookstore entirely every time somebody leaves the store. Like, we can't wipe down every book they might have touched. Like, what are you supposed to do? And a lot of books can't be wiped down at all. So, I mean, it's just like the regulations they've kind of put out for how retail business might reopen in Rhode Island don't really work for us as a bookstore. They want you to have a sneeze guard in front of your register. How am I getting a sneeze guard? How's that happening? Like little things like that, and people would have to make appointments to come in, which is fine, but then they don't want anybody to use cash. They want everybody to use contactless payment, which we don't have set up. And I also think not letting people pay with cash is problematic. And but there's just a lot of, we were running through all the regulations today and we were looking at this, like, even if we thought it was safe to reopen, we don't want to reopen like this. Like, this is just not feasible for us. It doesn't feel good for us. It doesn't feel like our space. It doesn't feel like a bookstore. It feels like a weird thing where one person can browse at a time and then we have to somehow figure out how to clean what they touched, and I don't know. So we're not going to be reopening anytime soon, but we are starting now to think about how can we envision reopening maybe next month in some capacity. Will there be enough like sanitary cleaning supplies available for us to do so? Because that's one big question mark, was a lot of these regulations for how everything needs to be cleaned every time a customer comes in. We literally can't get gloves. Like, we can't get wipes. We can't get these things that are supposedly required. So we're not thinking about reopening anytime soon. We'll probably try to do curbside pickup in the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We're launching a new website where customers will actually be able to see what's in our store and buy things directly from our website, which you'd think like we're spry and young and radical, but our website is so just not up with the times. We're not set up to be a website for people to order from. We're set up to be an in-person store and very much have always valued that and have been opposed to having books on our website for people to order. So this has been a big problem for us, but in theory, the website will go up next week, which will make things easier. We'll probably add booze to the website as well, so people can do curbside pickup of booze when we start doing curbside pickup of books. But I don't know. We're looking at these guidelines of what it would mean, Ollie, of what it would mean to reopen, and it's like so unfeasible for us to even think about that. We're not even stressing about it yet. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about like the regulations that you'd have to meet for the reopening thing exactly, like with all the specifics of that for the bookstore, like the sneeze guard thing. That's a big issue.
And I mean, a lot of these things are like, I don't know, the sneeze guard thing maybe is a recommendation as opposed to a regulation, but there are certain things that I don't know. I'll be curious to see how other bookstores start to reopen.
Yeah.
And maybe other people on this call will talk about what they're going to be doing. And so I'm very curious to hear that. But for us, just looking at these regulations, I watched a Facebook Live with someone from our government today talking about what it will look like. It's not things that we can do. It's not things that we can handle. So also, we're like adamantly opposed to the economy reopening anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But if these regulations stay in place and don't change, it's very weird to think about. Eventually, we do need to reopen, but like this doesn't feel like a cool, fun, exciting reopening,
No, very true. Well, what books? Recommend some books. Enough of the depressing stuff.
Sorry, I thought I was supposed to talk about where we're at. Was I not?
No, you were.
Okay.
But I want you to recommend some books too. I know you're still reading.
Okay, I am. I was in a little bit of a book rut, but then I read this book. I don't usually recommend things from big houses, but I really enjoyed Pizza Girl by, I hope that I pronounce her name correctly. I will probably not. Kyoung Frazier, which is coming out from Doubleday June 2nd, I think, sometime in early June. And it's just kind of a buck wild book about a girl who delivers pizzas and is very lost in life and has no direction and like falls madly in love with this woman she delivers pizzas to, who always asks for pickles on her pizza. And it gets very crazy very quickly. And I think Christina, for example, would be target audience for this book. I was target audience for this book. It was very fun and easy to read, and just something to kind of like get me out of my own thoughts. I also really enjoyed this book that I just finished reading that's kind of old, which I hope is okay.
Oh yeah.
It's called The Word Pretty by Elisa Gabbert. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly, from Black Ocean, I think, and came out in 2018. It's a nonfiction book. It's a bunch of short essays about the act of writing, and I don't think she is a translator, but she's very, very interested in translation, and there are a couple of essays about different things to do with translation, but it's just these very beautifully written little essays about writing and about books and literature, and I really enjoyed them. And then, sorry if you can hear the squeaking?
A little bit, but
sorry.
It's don't worry.
Every time I take it away, she just whines. It's a no-win situation. And then the last book I wanted to recommend, everyone knows I'm obsessed with Marie Ndiaye, and Two Lines has a new Marie Ndiaye. Yeah. Two Lines has That Time of Year coming out, translated by Jordan Stump. I'm obsessed with Jordan Stump. I'm his biggest fan. I don't think he knows who I am, but I'm his biggest fan. And that's coming out in September. And it's a short little novella about this Parisian family, or a father, a mother, and their kid that goes to this like southern France town for vacation like they do every summer, but they decide to stay one extra day. They stay past the last day of August in this town that's like only supposed to be a summer town for Parisians. Mm-hmm. And when they stay past this one day, things just take a turn very quickly and they can't seem to leave. And it's very weird and it's very funny. And it's just the perfect little, like, my favorite kind of book, a weird, creepy book written by a woman with seemingly nonsensical plot. And yeah, those are my 3 recommendations.
Nice. I love Jordan Stump. He's awesome.
Yeah, I've never met Jordan Stump, but I admire him from afar.
Were you at the first Alta that was in Rochester? Or was that before?
I don't think so.
He was here for that. That's why I thought maybe you guys had crossed paths, but that might have been before you were actively an Alta goer.
Yeah, I think my first Alta was in Illinois, or in Bloomington, Indiana.
Oh, yeah, that was
2013.
It was right after, yeah, or shortly after. Yeah, he's really great. He's super talented. And he's been doing her stuff for so long. Like, Nebraska published those first books of hers back in like the early 2000s.
He just nails every single one. It's also, every single one of his translations in Marie Ndiaye are so good.
Very cool. Cool. Anyone else want to comment on Emma's picks? I don't know how to do this.
No.
This is the first time I'm having like any, like, usually it's just
judge my picks.
But no, I wanted to say
stuff.
like, yeah, I love that book too.
Sometimes you say we do have very similar reading tastes, but sometimes you give me books that I absolutely fucking hate. Like I hated Baby so much. What was the other one? I hated Binary Star. I threw a fit.
Jeez, Christina. Throw me under the bus.
So, and I just bought a Riffraff secret 3-pack books from Emma. So we'll see.
Well, you know what, Christina? You'll probably hate them all. So
What did you get? What did you get in your pack?
I got, what did you send me? You sent me The Piano Teacher because I've been wanting to read that for a long, long time. I basically told her, like, my favorite book is Story of the Eye. Give me really, like, depraved, pervy shit. So Piano Teacher was one of them.
There was Mrs. Caliban by Rachel Ingalls.
Yeah.
And then the
So
third
good.
one is from Feminist Press.
It's Women's Barracks by, oh God, I don't know her first name, but the last name is Torres, and it's part of their Femme Fatale series. It's like the first ever lesbian pulp. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So maybe those will be better, okay?
Wow. It's like some bookseller heat. I love it.
She knows, 'cause I'll like text her like very angrily, like, I wasted my time. I'm so mad. Like, 300 pages.
Jesus Christ. I don't think
Well,
that I
Pizza
recommended Binary
Girl.
Star, although I really liked Binary Star.
Oh,
I
no.
liked Baby. Pizza Girl is like kind of similar to
Yeah.
Baby in that it's
No,
kind
Pizza
of.
Girl is gonna be. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, like, everybody at Books Are Magic is like super stoked on Pizza Girl. Like, we like even Anthony. They went to the like pizza party that they had for it before everything shut down, and we were gonna do like a huge event for it. And they had pizza with pickles on it and stuff. Like, it was awesome.
When you started describing it, I hoped you were going to say that she fell in love with a pizza. Now with another person. That would have then been a Chad book. Like, oh, cool.
Because it would resonate just with you.
Just with me. It's an audience of one.
Oh man, I do love that pizza.
Yeah. Shuchi, it's your turn. You're up. You get to talk about Brookline, books, everything you want.
Well, let's see. So I think currently the mayor just required all of us to wear masks, but at the same time they're easing restrictions. So go figure that out. Yeah, so I think we're probably in the same boat as Riffraff, and that we're gonna do curbside pickup over the next couple weeks. And then I think they are, I'm not one of the owners and managers, so I kind of hear about the stuff a little bit later, but I think they're buying tons of gloves and masks and hand sanitizer and figuring all of that out. We're a pretty big store, so we have like a staff of almost 40.
Holy shit.
So I
That's
think
crazy.
it'll probably be more like 10 people working in the store. But yeah, I have no idea what that's all going to look like. But for other stuff, I mean, we've been doing a lot of virtual events and doing a lot more in kind of, figuring out ways to exist online, which has meant we've like launched a membership program, and we're doing many more virtual events and trying to update our website and like on social media much more, and writing blog posts and just everything we can in that space, which I think is all good, is all stuff that needed to be happening. It was stuff that we were not doing before this that we should have been. And I hope like virtual events, for example, I think would be amazing to carry that over into whatever we go into after this, because at least for the series work, for the stuff that I do with the Transnational series, that it's like such a great opportunity to get to collaborate with people from all over the world and to collaborate with other bookstores. Sparks and I are collaborating on an event, which is really exciting. So we're co-sponsoring Fernanda Melcher's event in a couple weeks. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, so I think, there's some exciting stuff that can come out of this, but it's still hard. I mean, I'm missing store events. I don't know if those are ever going to come back the way that they were. I can't imagine them really coming back until next year, to be honest. So, I don't know. We just had that with Chad. That was fun. Chad,
very fun.
yeah.
Thank you for doing that again. That was great.
Yeah, it was fun. And we had a lot of people there, which was exciting too. So
I've liked the virtual events that we've done because there have been a larger crowd than we usually get. And it's like so diverse because it's people from all over. So like Danny Hahn was there from England, and that's great. Like I would never be in an event with him normally.
Yeah, that has been a nice part of it. I mean, maybe it might lose its luster in a few months, but for now it seems like people like it. And so that's sort of what's happening at the bookstore front. probably the same all around in some version for everyone. Yeah.
So you want to recommend some books, but I'm going to steer you to one right away for a particular reason. So you
Okay.
want to recommend Territory of Light by Yuko, is it Tsushima?
I think it's Tsushima, yeah.
Okay, because we just ran an article about that because it's on the Best Translated Book Award long list. I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah, I actually read this a long time ago. I read it when it was a galley, so probably like late 2018 I read it. And I loved it. It's, for those who don't know about it, it was written in the 70s, so between 78 and 79, and she wrote a chapter. I think each chapter was supposed to represent a month, and there's 12 parts of it, so it was the course of the year, and it's about a woman who leaves her husband with her young child, and she moves into this apartment, and it's sort of her dealing with being a single mother, but also everybody kind of judging her for leaving her husband and pressuring her to get back with him. But I think, it has a sort of conventional premise, but it gets into this really strange, surreal territory and does it in a very kind of subtle and slippery way, where suddenly the roof is completely flooded out of the blue. And I don't know, it's one of those books that I keep thinking about now, I think because it's so lucid and it's so interior, it's so set inside this, like, in this very small, cramped place, but it just has a lot of like, I don't know how to describe that part.
It's the one.
It's been a long time since I've talked to other people about books, believe it or not. Yeah, I just think it's surreal, but it's still like kind of lucid and clear, and it's got a lot of air in it, so it doesn't feel claustrophobic, even though the like parts of the story are claustrophobic. That makes sense.
That's the one book. I get into our office for 15 minutes tomorrow to drop off books and to pick up stuff for the first time since March. And that's the one book that when I'm in there, I'm going to scan really quick to see if it's on our shelves from the review copies, because it sounded really good. And when I saw you wanted to recommend it, I figured I'm sold.
Did anybody else read it? It's been out for a while. I just wonder if anybody else.
No, I have a copy here, but it's been in my stacks forever.
Yeah.
Shuchi, do you know that total coincidence, I just bought this from your store like 2 weeks ago? Because I've been dying to read it, and it was Independent Bookstore Day, and I wanted to support Brookline, so that's what I bought.
Is that the same weekend I ordered one of your mystery book packages?
Probably, yeah.
Well, I have I think Emma and I share this taste for like women unraveling, and books where women unravel in different ways. So yeah, this is one of those books.
Love that kind of book.
Yeah.
Nice.
Same. You want to recommend one more, at least?
I've been reading, this is an older one too, by Renee Gladman. It's called Calamities. Anybody read that one? Collection of essays. Oh, she's
awesome. Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
These essays are just, they're just a couple pages long, and they all start with "I began the day." And she just, her mind just goes into these completely weird spaces. She's so funny. And so it's just been nice to like have someone who's totally cerebral and can get into these complex ideas, but also just like make fun of herself. So that's been like kind of like my take a break and enjoy a book read.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to do your third one?
My third one? All right. This one's a little bit more intense, but I do love it. Minor Detail by Adania Shibli, which is coming out from New Directions later this month. And this is a really short novel split in 2 parts. And the first part is set right in the summer of 1949 in Palestine, like right after the Nakba. And it's following a soldier who's occupied a Bedouin village and the horrors that they commit during that time. And they eventually end up murdering a woman. And then it jumps forward into time, and there's this woman who's completely living in the West Bank, and she's completely obsessed with this murder and wants to find out what happened. And I think what I like about this is, again, it's a woman unraveling. So there's that happening. This woman becomes so obsessed with this murder that she does things that she wouldn't do, like leave the West Bank and drive into parts of Israel that she's not allowed to go into. So it's sort of, addressing that like very complicated history of Israel and Palestine, but it's doing this with this sort of like mystery plot. Yeah, and it's very like the writing is very clear and lucid. And I think I'm just kind of attracted to that right now, where it's just kind of these like forward sentences. But yeah, I think that book is really, really good. So I'm excited for that to come out.
That sort of impulse is why I was reading like a bunch of Muriel Spark books early on in this, because it's
Oh man, yeah.
perfect, like clean, lucid, doesn't have any anxieties that we have right now, but very, very refreshing. Yeah. That's awesome. Christina, do you hate all those books?
Never mind. I'm gonna say something and Emma's gonna like text me something mean.
I'm gonna cyberbully you.
Yeah, I haven't met yet, so I don't know. Are you gonna hate on the books?
I mean, I like Unraveling as well. I also like affair books. I like I don't know, those all fit. So I feel like I would like those. I haven't read Calamities, but people have recommended it to me a lot.
Very cool. Buzanski, you get on to talk about books are magic. You guys, you told me, I believe, that you don't want anyone buying any more books from your store.
No, I never said that. No, absolutely not.
You don't want that one on public record, huh?
No, we've been thankfully very busy, which is great. Of course, we had to reimagine the whole store. We were always happy to have huge events with lots of people, and Emma's book just released on Tuesday, which is fantastic. It's getting tons of great reviews, tons of good book clubs, etc. But it's hard. Like, we want people to come in and get the book and go to the events. We had our 3-year anniversary. Like, we had parties planned. There were going to be goats. Unfortunately,
goats.
Yeah, goats. There's goats in the book, so we were gonna have goats for the party. Like, I mean, there was all kinds of stuff planned, and then it was like we had to do it virtually and sold a ton of books online. But like, you wonder how many more you sold, which, either way. And when we reopen and how we reopen is, again, it's like the same thing. Like, how do we do it? New York is obviously not a great place to be in to reopen, because people want to be out and they want to pick up their books, but it's scary and we don't want anybody to be at risk. And we're trying to process orders as fast as we can, as much as we can, and we appreciate the support, but like it's been a lot. And thankfully it's been a lot, but we sold our Stay Safe t-shirts, which half the proceeds, we've like gotten probably over $10,000 for Bink Foundation already, which is great. We figured out how to do the virtual events, which is great. Our events team has been fantastic. They've been working really hard from home, and it's going well. And I think it's something that, I think it was said earlier, that like, it's not a bad thing to know how to do these events where you don't have, to necessarily have like 4 employees who have to be in the store for a huge event or do an offsite, when you can do it virtually. Like, it could be really cool. Our sales through events have been pretty decent, considering, like for good poetry events and things like that. Like, it's impressive. It's great to see the support. We appreciate everyone who supported us. But if I have to reopen the store, I need like a week, because there's books everywhere on the floors, like stacked on top of each other. My social media people were like, "Oh, send us a picture of the bestseller table," and I was like, "No, the new release table looks. It's only so I can pull books as fast as possible to try and like fulfill orders. It's not anything that anybody wants to put on Instagram."
Also, I might be wrong about this, but your store is maybe the most like confined in terms of like reopening and having space inside of it, out of the people that are on this call, obviously.
Well, yeah, because we're a small store. So it would be, we would definitely be mostly pickup only, but we also were a store that was like, it was, open to fulfill a void that was going to be in a neighborhood where we do huge events, and we can't see how that's going to work, like without doing it virtually. It's going to be really hard. You can't say like, "Oh, we hope we get 250 people in the store to see," or like the Ocean Fawn, where we had like people outside. We had to put speakers outside so people on the street could hear it,
Yeah.
So you don't know.
And
but we're pushing through. We're doing what we want. I mean, what we can.
yeah.
We just want everybody to be safe, and that's why we quickly stopped in-store pickup or even just like safe pickup, because we don't want people lining up outside waiting for their books, etc. We're just like, I'm sure the city wants to open and we want to open, but we're going to take our time doing it just like everybody else. And like we said before, you can't wipe down every book.
Yeah. Nope. Well, what is this new Andres Barba book about that you've been raving about since Winter Institute?
This book I read before the world shut down. I've always been a huge fan of Andres Barba, but like this book, Luminous Republic, is amazing. And it's dark in a different way for the real world right now. But the way he writes, it's just incredible. Like, it's basically a town that just is dealing with like a bunch of kids who go off the rails and nobody knows how to deal with them, and they just murder a bunch of people and everybody's trying to figure it out. It's pretty great. It's smart. It seems real. I had to like check facts to make sure that it didn't actually happen. These days, you never know, but it's awesome. It's so engrossing and takes you out of this world, which is nice, It's not like a lighthearted read, but it does have its funny moments and things like that, which is great. We were really excited to do an event with Andres and Alvaro Enrique, but obviously things changed.
We were supposed to do one with Andres and Sarah Mesa, like tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. Or today.
Yeah, I mean, we're in May. Yeah, this was gonna happen.
Right now, man.
Yeah. So, and it's crazy to think, like, I met Carmen and Andres like at the event that we were at for Books Without Borders. Like, that was like the end of last year.
October, yeah.
And, yeah, who thinks that we would ever go to like a major party and sit down at tables and drink and bid on stuff? Well, I wasn't bidding, but like other people. But like just be in a huge room with people. It's weird.
We're gonna have one of those sweaty dance parties again, like the like. Nope.
I left before that. Sorry, man.
Oh, that's the best part. What else do you want to recommend, though, man?
So another one is it was just a fun read, because I seriously, we're working so many hours and there's so few of us, and I really don't have the time to read that I would love. But All My Cats by Harbaugh, coming out from New Directions, is just like, it's a quick, beautiful, funny book where he's like basically made enough money off his books to move to the country and just evidently like accept every feral cat that's around him. And it's a novel or a memoir or whatever, but like, I mean, he doesn't have any pretensions. It's just like literally talking about the cats and like his wife and their problems of living in a house while he collects feral cats. And what else could you want to read right now? It's hilarious. It's great. It's fast. You don't need a long attention span for it. I love it.
He's great. He's always been one of my favorites.
Oh, I mean, it's just like, this one is like published because he's him and he can write it because he's him. Like, it's just, it's cool.
Anything else?
I mean, I could list off a few, but
you have your time for On Lighthouses, man.
On Lighthouses is fantastic, as everybody knows. I mean, it was my favorite book coming out of Winter Institute, that I was like, I mean, I handed off so many copies to everyone. Everybody loves it. It's like a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful book coming out from Two Lines. We should have a blog post coming up for it soon. Yeah, it's wonderful. And, it's one of those books that you just love, that there's like a literary nonfiction like section for to be. It's not a novel. It's not a memoir. It's just like you just enjoy reading their thoughts on literature, on lighthouses, on everything, and you're just like, that's awesome.
And Christina, you hate cats and water?
I mean, cats, yes, I do hate cats. But I did hate those books. I hate a lot of things, actually. So
no wonder you get along with Will so well.
No shit. I'm gonna send you like 8 copies of Pizza Girl.
I really liked Jazmina's book a lot. Like, it's definitely not. I actually read her in Spanish, and so I didn't know Two Lions was publishing her in English until like a couple of months ago. And I really hope that someone translates Strange Bodies, I think is what it's called in English.
They're publishing. Yeah, they're publishing her.
They're putting that out. Yeah,
translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so good. I mean, Steven is the one who should be talking about that book because he talks about books way better than I do. So.
Well, he'll have his chance in a second. Christina, you get to talk. No, wait. No, it's you, Sparks. You're up.
I talk books real good. I will. I would second the on lighthouses for sure. That we. I mean, before I talk about the store, but we haven't done any virtual events, and kind of like just because I think I'm the only one here who has a rural bookstore. Like, we're out in the, like, we're really reliant upon the tourist weekend trade traffic, and especially in the summer, as we get into the summer, it's going to be interesting to see. But and we have like 4 part-timers and me, and until about 2 weeks ago, it was just me going into the store 3 days a week as much as I could. So I hadn't really done much on the virtual event thing. But now we have, thanks to Shuchi and Brookline Booksmith, we're partnering on the Fernando Melchor event, and we have Jazmina Barrera and Philip Poore, who's a pretty interesting writer. He wrote a book about Moby Dick and Herman Melville, and then and another book about swimming. He's like in the UK, and he's going to be joining the event at like 3 a.m. his time because he goes for a 3 a.m. swim. So like he's going to go for a swim and then join us on the Zoom call, which is amazing. So yeah, but I mean, on lighthouses is great. It's hard to write about some kind of very kitschy, potentially kitschy subject and not at all end up being kitschy. So I really like that one. But as for the store, we're like everybody else. We have been closed since March 17th. We had decided like that weekend leading up to that, before the shelter-in-place orders went into effect, that we were going to close. Mm-hmm. Just because like the Saturday before, we had done something like 350% better sales than the comparable Saturday. So it felt like a Saturday in December. And we have a small store. It's a tight space. People browse and they spend a lot of time in the store, and it didn't feel good. So we made the decision to close, and then it was taken out of our hands. But similarly, and now I think Marin County is saying the week of May 18th, we would be able to open up for curbside pickup, which we've been doing a little bit of, like kind of on the sly, just with some locals, because it's just me at the store and I can leave a bag outside. But in some ways, I feel like the real challenge is actually going to start now, because we've all gotten the practice, and we've kind of got our routines down with shipping things out, and it's like tedious work, and it's not really book selling. It's just like selling books. But I feel like there's going to be some false sense of security that like, oh, they're open again, but people still can't come in and browse. Like, I don't know how to facilitate that browsing experience, like with a table blocking the door. We can like put virtual bookshelves on our website and all that, and try to do all these things. But for small stores in particular, like, I don't have the time or energy to do that. I'm like chasing around our 15-month-old and, applying for our PPP loan and all these things. So we'll see how things go over the next couple of months. But we did get a PPP loan finally through Wells Fargo, which did not seem at all interested in giving anyone money. It finally came through. It's like the only bank in town in Point Reyes, so we like have to bank with them pretty much. So yeah, but so that's where we're at.
Oh well, I mean, I saw those videos too of you packing up 1 billion orders.
I didn't expect that to go viral. That was kind of crazy. Something like 700,000 views.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Luckily, I had just cut my hair before that. I don't know, because it was looking pretty bad.
I'm not
to say this is looking good, but like...
I finally officially given up on my hair entirely, which is like a first in a long time. I was usually pretty neurotic about it. Now I'm just like, it doesn't matter.
I was wavering between that, and then a few Saturdays ago at like 11:30 p.m., I just like grabbed my beard trimmers and was like, I'm doing it. And Molly said, I can't help you right now. It's too late. I'm not fresh. I can't help you. And I was like, I'm going to do it myself. And it really took like an hour. And I can feel in the back, there are like some kind of hairs, like longer hairs, kind of just like floating in the wind. Yeah. I'm sitting on our porch. I can definitely feel that. But, I don't have to see the back of my head.
Right. So what books do you want to recommend, man?
Man, I'm more at like the watching YouTube clips of like walk-off home runs phase of the quarantine.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found one that was just like huge dongers or something like that. It's definitely not called huge dongers, but it's just like home run after home run. I love it.
Yeah.
I missed this from last night, but I play MLB The Show every day, and I have a picture which I can put up as my background. My pitcher died in a game. He got hit in the face, and that was him on the ground, dead. And he was never available again. He had a severe bruise on his head, and he could never pitch again. So I rewound the timeline because I was like, "This is too fucking dark." Like,
oh my God.
So good. Anyways,
so that's the phase I'm at. I'm like watching YouTube clips or like parents crying at their professional athlete children's accomplishments. That's a good genre. That's a really good genre. Like winning field goal and the dad's crying, trying to hold back his tears. I don't know what's happening to me. But I guess
that's what parenthood does to someone.
I guess so, yeah. At the beginning I read Wolf Hall. I read the whole trilogy over the last like 7 weeks, which I hadn't read before, and I was really impressed by, like, pretty impressive accomplishment. But what else? Let's see. I have we're doing a book club at the store, like our first official book club that we're hosting for Roy Jacobsen's The Unseen that Biblioasis published, translated by the Dons, Don Shaw and Don Bartlett, who I think I'm just going to refer to as the Dons the whole time during our virtual book club. That book was, I don't know if anyone read it, and maybe Christina hates it.
Like that book.
See, I was going to say, maybe Christina, it's about an island, so like there's water.
I was like, okay, yeah, this is all right. I like this. And then I read it again, and I was like, no, I don't like it.
Oh, see, I haven't read it again. I think I read it like at a right time because it felt very simple and stark in a way that I was like, this is like, I like that. I mean, I'm like a sucker for novels about peasants, like hardworking peasants. It's like, that's my women unraveling genre.
Women unraveling, yeah. Hardworking peasants, women unraveling.
If you can combine the two, there's a little bit of that in
the title of this podcast. That's
so I don't know. I haven't reread it, so maybe if I reread it, I'm going to hate it, and the book club's going to be awful. But but right now, for the purposes of the podcast, I'm going to say I really liked it. I'll report back.
I love it.
And then another one. I don't know who read River by Esther Kinsky. Did anyone read that? The Transit published a few years ago.
I taught it in my class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading Grove now, which is her new one. I really like. She's like, it's like slow German, kind of like turgid prose. It's really about landscape and there's characters, but it's I mean, you remember from River, it just kind of like details the landscape and picks up different things. And her prose is like impressive and it doesn't move quickly. It's not Muriel Spark that's like this clear, precise prose. It's almost the opposite of that, but somehow that's working for me. And this one's told in sort of shorter chunks about a woman who's been widowed, I think. Unnamed narrator, another plus for me. Unnamed narrators also do. And then she goes to town southeast of Rome and just kind of wanders around and then relives some memories of visiting Italy in the 70s as a child. And I think she's really impressive. She's very, kind of Sebaldian in that way. Yeah. So those are a few. I know, like I said, On Lighthouses is another one that I particularly liked.
Very cool. Yeah, I met Roy Jacobsen in Oslo last year.
How was he?
Editorial trip. He was great. He was a really nice guy. But his books sound exactly like he was. Like everything, it just seems to fit. Like he's that guy.
Yeah. Christina would like him the first time she met him, but then if she met him again.
Hey yo.
You said landscape, and I instantly was like, nope. Not gonna do it. Never gonna read it. I can't.
Oh my God. So Christina, how are things at Deep Balm? I saw Will a few hours ago. He FaceTimed me with his mask on, getting ready to talking about taking over Pen America on Saturday. And
Oh my God.
Live stuff.
That's happening on Saturday. I mean, quarantine wise, like on a personal level, I'm like at the stage of I now drink Fireball with a straw.
I was just gonna ask if you were drinking Fireball with the straw, and you are, huh?
I am. It just, it makes things a little bit easier.
I heard Anthony applaud in the future from a mile away.
He loves Fireball.
Only drink that my daughter's ever had. My 16-year-old daughter admitted that her and her friends, I was like, you guys have had alcohol. And she's like, we all took one shot of Fireball one night, and it was disgusting.
Okay, she has time to grow and learn. So, I hope she gets there. But bookstore-wise, I mean, we're closed. Texas is wild. I don't really want to reopen. A lot of things are reopening on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, hair salons, like, really non-essential, like, retail has already started opening last week, and like we have the highest cases being reported every single day. Like they're just going up. But like Texans, just like you don't mess with their,
That's where it was in Austin that the person shoved the park ranger into the lake.
So one woman like refused to close her hair salon because she was like, "This is oppression." Like she ended up getting like 3 different fines, ripped them up in front of cops. Like there's video of her doing this. And then she was arrested and like sent to jail for a week. And now our governor, they want to release her early. They want to pay all of her fines. And now our governor wants to put her on a task force to help with reopening retail. It makes no sense.
Texas is crazy.
Yeah. So people are like open and out. We are still doing we're still shipping. Like I do all the shipping and the ordering. And so I do a lot of direct to home orders. We kind of do curbside pickup, but it's really like they schedule it with me. So it's not that much. And I usually try to like talk them out of it. Of like, it's just going to be me. Like we can, I can work around in your schedule. And usually people are like, oh, we don't want to inconvenience you. I'm like, okay, great. So we're not going to do that. So there's that. And then we do the bookseller hotline. And that is for people to call in and get book recommendations and unsolicited life advice from me and talk books and TV and horoscopes.
So you recommend Binary Star most of the time.
I thought of the good book that I hated that Emma loves, and it's Banshee. Do you remember us talking about this?
You didn't like Banshee?
I went on a Chad Post rant about Banshee because I hate it that much.
That's
I thought it was like problematic.
Yeah.
Which I think your reasons for thinking it's problematic are valid. But I will say that book kind of ruled, and your book club loved it too.
Yeah, but then I had to educate and be like, no, you should also hate this too for these reasons. And so they didn't disagree with that either. There was a lot of white guilt going on that book club. So
yeah, I agree with you to some degree. But I think that book did something interesting that I don't usually get out of books, which is that it was both extremely realistic and sad, and also one of the funniest books I've ever read. And I
realistic? I would disagree with that. Other than the fact that this is like a white woman who gets what she wants. That's the realistic part to me.
all right.
Who you like, Christina?
I did find 3 books that I do really, really like. But yeah, so the book.
Wow, I'm so surprised.
But yeah, so that's basically for this.
No matter what you say, you're gonna get shit on. You do know that, right?
I know, she's gonna attack me later. So I guess the books that I picked, first one, actually, me and Emma both really liked this book, Through Smoke. It is a CLMP contender from Jihan Debro. I'm probably really mispronouncing that. But it's like a lyric essay that's centered around like the art and history of perfumery. And she's like tracing back these like her like through memory, and it's kind of just about how we engage with scent and how it, you know, it's a very sensory rich book, and I think that's why I really, really liked it. And it's really short, and I don't know. I love that one. You liked that one too, didn't you, Emma?
Yeah, I think I'm actually the one who recommended that to you. So I'm one for what, 15 with you?
Moving on. Cockfight. Maria Fernanda Ampera from Feminist Press. I also really, really loved. I feel like people who like Seta Mesa, Carmen Maria Machado would really, really like this book. It's very brutal. It's like very animalistic in terms of like language. It's talking about like sexuality, Latin America, and politics. It's kind of a coming of age story, but it also talks about like gender politics as well. I just really, it's a short story collection. So that one I think came out yesterday or maybe today. I don't know.
I think it was yesterday too, or Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday. Well, no, Tuesday.
Loved that one. And then my third is the author that bonded me and Emma in our friendship, and it's Ancestry of Objects by Tatiana Reichman. I was very intimidated to meet Emma the first time, and this was the only thing I knew what to talk about because Will had told me that she loved her first novella, which is I Don't Think of You Until I Do. And so he's now publishing her second book, which is also a novella called The Ancestry of Objects. And it's written in, I think, third person plural, centering around an affair, and it's very erotic. It kind of reminds me of one of my favorite Dalkey archive books is Mirror in the Well by Micheline Marcom. And so it's all like, which is also very brutal. And that's kind of what this book reminds me of. And she's just my favorite writer of all time. So I was really excited that he's publishing her. So.
Wow. Very, very cool. So anyone, and those all books all suck, right? Someone has to jump in on her. No, they all sound great.
Those books are all actually dope, so I can't really cyberbully Christina.
Christina, how many calls do you get a day?
It kind of depends on the day. Sometimes during the week it's really slow, but on average, I actually get a lot of text more so than calls now. But usually it's between like 3 to 5, and some of them like they're not long. Like some of them will last like 5 or 6 minutes or so, but then I'll have the people that will keep me on the phone for like an hour.
Yeah.
So then I will like schedule a time, whoever call I missed, I'll like schedule some time in the week to be like, I'm going to call you at this time and date. And it's normally not like about books. Like a lot of people just like call to talk, but they buy books. So they just don't want to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it'll like end with being like, oh, well, what do you like? I'll recommend something based off what we were talking about. And they're like, yeah, invoice me, like done. And won't even, yeah. It makes, I don't know. I have a really weird, like with everything that's going on, I just didn't want to, like everything feels so centered around capitalism that this was the one thing that made me feel okay about selling a product during a pandemic. So that's initially how it came to be, because I was like, how do I do this in a way that doesn't make me feel gross and like depress me every day that I am pushing people to support a bookstore when they don't have to. Like no one has to spend money. Like books are not essential in that way. So
yeah. And there's like so many other good causes. I know it's like a hard thing. It's a hard line to toe to be like, we need your support, but we're also like ostensibly a for-profit business. I don't, you know.
Yeah. Well, it also like makes me feel weird when like bookstores, how they phrase it makes it seem like you need to do this. Like if you want us to exist, this is what you have to do. And it's like, well,
Right.
go in a bookstore. So like on some level, this had to be in your planning of some, maybe not to this capacity, but like, no, people don't need to do anything for you. And to have that mindset is a weird privilege that we don't talk about. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we did the shirts early, like that we were going to donate half to bank and half to our employees for the people that were staying at home, because we paid everybody so far the whole time. And it's like, you know, there's nobody who's been laid off through our store. And it's like, you know, we appreciate the support that we've gotten, which is awesome, but we didn't know what was going to happen. I was looking forward to doing inventory and a bunch of returns, and like that's not. I haven't been
You
able
were
to stop
looking
to do
forward.
it.
Sorry, you were looking forward to doing inventory.
Hey man, you know I love a good inventory.
Have any of your stores had to lay anyone off or furlough anyone at all?
I'm the only employee.
That's what I thought, but Emma, you did.
Yeah, we had to furlough everyone, and right now we're using our PPP loan to pay everyone who didn't qualify for unemployment or like couldn't get unemployment for whatever reason. They're back on payroll. But everyone who did get unemployment is better off on unemployment. So it's sort of a complicated situation. But yeah, we did have to furlough like 4 people, I think.
I have to furlough Anthony and Kaya. Kaya for the entire summer, and Anthony for 3 weeks. 1 each month of this month, next month, and July. And our support from the university is very precarious right now. So if you want to support something so that they can continue, please help us. You can donate to Open Letter. You can do anything. Universities are not in a good space, if you haven't noticed. When you don't have students, things don't really work very well. And they have weird budgets. So yeah, that's I can't say more right now.
Okay.
But
So
if you're listening, you should support us.
Well, thanks, Chad.
Yeah, big bummer at the end. I said it. No, it's fine. It's fine. Anything else that you guys wanted to talk about that's going on in the book selling world, or any interesting Twitter fights that have happened, since I don't pay attention to any of this? No?
Ooh,
I haven't.
actually, I do have one, but you go first, Stephen.
No, I was gonna say I haven't seen any good gossip lately.
Either.
I mean, I think I only see arguments about like book people not wanting ebooks, which I think is like, I don't say anything, but maybe I should, because I'm just like, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, there's a lot of like, I can understand the like, if you physically, like there is something that is straining you from being able to read an ebook, that makes sense to me. But the idea of just like, this isn't my preference, so therefore I refuse to submit like Indie Next nominations or like give blurbs because I hate this, like that, I don't know, that feels kind of
I don't know. I can't read on a screen at all. Like I can't focus on it. Like, I mean, I've had classes since I was in 2nd grade. I can't focus on a screen.
Which makes sense. That makes sense.
I can't read a book for sure, and I can't process it the same way. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
We don't have a printer right now. We have a home printer that can print a few things, but it's not like capacity to print a book. So we do have, like, Anthony stole the work computer, borrowed the work computer and the work printer at his house. If we need something to proof, he has to do it on there. But for most of the stuff that I've been trying to like work on, I have to use the Kindle because I don't have any other options. Like, I can't physically get it right now. So for like samples and shit like that. And I've gotten used to it, but it is really annoying at first.
I will
Yeah,
say no, go ahead, Stephen.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, the problem is all these e-galleys that are being made available on Edelweiss. I literally can't download them because the software that you need to be able to read them, because they're like protected, you can only have on an iPad or an iPhone. I don't have an iPad, and I'm not going to read things on my phone. Fuck off. So like all these galleys that are being sent around, I cannot access. And so I like if there's something I'm really excited about, I'll just ask my rep for a PDF. But otherwise, I just can't. What am I going to do? I'm not going to read something on my phone.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it's like you want to, like, even digitally, like there are things that I want to read and I want to be reading them, but also, yeah, I don't, like somebody told me like, oh, why don't you just borrow an iPad from someone? And it's like, but I'm not supposed to be seeing anyone. So the fact that I don't have an iPad is a fact that like I can't borrow one from someone, so
yeah. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I'm having publishers send me PDFs only because I also like think about like, well, in order for booksellers to actually get a physical arc of something, a publisher and editor had to read that on something they probably read it on their laptop or something else. And so I'm trying to adapt to it because I normally do very much hate galleys of books. But then I think of the consequence of like, I'm reading all of the CLMP like books are e-copies. Like if I don't read them, I don't get to how would I vote for them for someone to win that award? And then a lot of galleys are like new debut authors who I do want to blurb for and help promote. And it's like, how am I going to do that if I don't adapt during this time? But then I'm also like, yeah, if you have a physical, like eyesight wise, like if that's hurting you from reading it, that makes sense to me. But the argument of I just don't want.
It's not just that. I work 9 hours a day and can't read that much anyway. So, it's like I want to adapt and I want to be there and I want to read them, but like, and I don't expect anybody to send me a physical copy because I don't expect anybody to go into work or anything, but it's hard. And I don't feel like I'm seeing from the publishing side of it, the amount of work to try and like figure out how to promote stuff. I mean, for some it's been great, but for others it's been like, hey, we're shut down. It's cool. Like, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. We can't mail anything, so we've had to go to like anyone who buys anything, a physical copy through our website. We send the Mobi and EPUB files, but like we don't know what to do with you guys, like for all the new books, because we can't get into. There's no mail going in or out of the University of Rochester right now, and we're not on campus, and we're not going to be on campus anytime soon.
Yeah, the long term effects of this are like when you think of things like that, like it's not that you're just losing a spring season of sales because bookstores are closed or whatever, but like the fall, like people aren't going to be looking at your books before the fall.
The summer and the fall are going to be very bizarre.
Well, they're going to change the way publicity works. I mean, maybe all this pre-pub buzz won't be the thing that they rely on anymore.
Wouldn't that be nice?
You wouldn't that be
Yeah, that's mailing stuff is like the second or third largest category of our budget. It's like tens of $1,000s a year that we spend mailing out review copies to booksellers and to reviewers, and you're never sure like if it's ever really worth it. I mean, most like
well, I mean,
a lot, but like it's worth it, but like it's a lot, and it's very expensive to mail stuff, especially overseas. So now with this, like that we can't, it's weird. It's like all of a sudden we look very healthy. Like we're not spending $30,000 on fucking mailing right now.
Well, Macmillan announced that they were going to stop printing galleys entirely, and I think they had a lot of pushback, which maybe Christina's referring to. But like similarly, I mean, I like would prefer to read an actual physical paper book. But could adjust. But my other concern with digital galleys is like I'm gonna download a bunch of PDFs or EPUBs or whatever, and they're gonna be on my desktop, and like I can't keep track of the number of books that are coming in already that are physical that are right in front of my face. Like I'm just gonna lose sight of those, and that to me is like. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, but they're like dead to you, right? Like you're like, well, there is the 2 that you wanted really badly because like the author and like what you spent, but like the rest.
I mean, but if it cut down on like the galleys that we don't want that are just like indiscriminately mailed out by corporate publishers, like maybe it's worth the trade-off. Like maybe Macmillan wouldn't be an issue for Macmillan if they didn't print so many galleys.
That's true, actually. I mean, yeah, if we didn't get the stuff that we didn't want, I guess it would be a good trade-off for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. That would be That'd be much better. I feel the same way, Steven. I put so many things on like on the desktop or on wherever on the Kindle. I never go back and look at it. So I don't really like it. Just doesn't occur. It doesn't.
Yeah.
That problem. You don't see it. It's out of sight, out of mind. Like the way that the whole menu on that thing works is terrible too, because it lists like the most recent thing that you've read or downloaded first. So like if you had or read something and downloaded other things, they can be like screens in the future, and you have to swipe and be like, oh yeah, that's right, that was that book that person wanted us to look at. Like it's such a pain in the ass, and like it does change the way that what you're going to pay attention to, I think, dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way with music. That's how like I feel with Spotify. Like I forget about certain bands for like years.
Yeah.
You know?
I have so many Spotify playlists, and so much of it is based on like, oh yeah, there's that one song I really liked like in 2012, and I'll go try and find through like the whole folder of things so I can find them and be like, holy shit, how haven't I listened to this like every day of my life? Like, what am I doing? But like, yeah, it's the same thing. There's too much and it just goes away. I don't know, man. Do you guys want to have any rants or raves, as Tom puts it, for any other non-book media you want to throw out there? Any movies, music, things that you guys have liked?
I feel like I sound like a ranter, so someone needs to ask me something where I'm like, I actually love it. So
I'm just gonna keep plugging YouTube compilation videos of walk-off home runs.
Huge donger. Huge donger.
The huge donger category on YouTube.
Yes.
On Sonos Radio, the Brittany Howard radio station it's called the Brittany Encyclopedia, and it's amazing. We've listened to so many radio stations through this whole thing, and we're so sick of songs, and it's incredible. Like, just some of the best songs ever. It's awesome.
You ever listen to Radio Garden? It's this app that have you ever heard of Radio Garden? This app that lets you listen to radio stations all over the world.
No, but that sounds amazing.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, you can just, it's a globe, and you can kind of go wherever you want, whatever country or continent, and it shows you all the radio stations in little concentrated green dots, and you can pick one and listen. It's pretty nice.
Well, that is for tomorrow, for sure.
That is wild, yeah.
Emma, are you loving the show Younger, about publishing?
I was going to say, and then I got too embarrassed to say. I will do a quick, one of the worst TV shows ever made is called Younger, and it takes place like in publishing world in New York. And like, it's like they're trying really hard to make it seem like they know what they're talking about with publishing world. But there's this part where they like acquire this book by a Swedish author, and this woman is like, I read it in galleys, plural. And I'm like, no. And then they go to Frankfurt, and it's all so stupid. It's so stupid. But I can't stop watching. Anyway. It was also like the most realistic moment of the whole show is that she calls the translation stilted. Anyway. But I did want to give one shout out to, speaking of music, Mark Haber has been making these really good bookstore quarantine house playlists on Spotify. He put them on his Twitter. I've been listening to them. They're very good. So thank you, Mark.
Anything you want to plug, Christina?
I mean, I'm a fan of Younger. I think it's so ridiculous that I'm obsessed with it, just because like Hilary Duff playing like the smart girl editor alone is like, this show is fake. Like, this is not.
She becomes head of the publishing house. She takes over the publishing house. Hilary Duff. Her imprint is called Millennial Books. The whole thing.
I can't believe that doesn't exist in real life yet. That's amazing.
How many seasons are there for this show? Because that show's been on for a while, it seems like.
It's like 6, and I've watched every single one of them.
I am on the 6th season
of the show.
Yeah. I also started watching Normal People because I refused to read Sally Rooney. And I don't, like, hate it. It's, like, such a horny show about, like, Irish teenagers. And I'm like, I can get into this. It's, like, 80% sex scenes, 20% dialogue. So if you don't want to read her books, I feel like this is a good compromise.
That's what Dongers is too.
Did anyone watch Dairy Girls?
No, but I want to.
It's really good. It's very funny. It's like the opposite of Normal People, it sounds like. It's like all dialogue. Northern Ireland in the 80s.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of painful stares. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh man. Well, thank you guys all for doing this. Do you want to just give a shout out for each of your stores or anywhere that people should go to find your stuff? I'll have all the links in the show notes to all the books. In each of the books that were recommended by the booksellers will be linked to their particular store, so that you should go and order it from them directly.
You won't be able to do that for Riffraff, I don't think.
I'll link to your website though, and they can type in an email and call you and ask for it.
Maybe by the time this podcast goes up, our new website will be up. Who knows?
It's going to be up in like 25 minutes.
Oh, then never mind.
I turn this shit around like magic, man. I don't wait around.
No editing. Absolutely raw.
Editing. No, you edit books. You don't edit podcasts.
Oh man.
Can you make sure that you encourage people to put attention Tom in the subject of those emails?
I can. Anyway, so where can people find you guys?
Well, for Deep Vellum Books, it is different from the publishing house, so you actually have to put books. That's very important, even for the website. But yeah, it's actually easier for me for people to call the hotline or text the hotline, because that is what I am on all day. So
what is the hotline number?
It is 972-638-7741. So you can text it or leave a message. I don't get through, and I'll call you back. It's a lot easier, and I'm actually processing the order with you on the phone. So
Buzanski dropped out, so I'll say his books are magic. Don't go there and don't order any books from him. I'm just kidding. Nick's great. Go to Books Are Magic, and that's easy to find. I'm sure it's booksaremagic.com.
I think it's .net.
Whatever. They both all works. I'm not editing that either.
And send him lots of emails asking why your order hasn't arrived, where the tracking information is.
Oh, yeah. Anyone who's listening, email Books Are Magic and ask them why you haven't received your book yet. Nick loves that. It's his favorite sort of email. He told me this last night, and he's like, it's his favorite, so just do that.
It's so nasty. I got the nastiest phone. I had a woman call the hotline to talk shit about me, not realizing that it was me that answered the phone about her tracking number.
Oh God.
And her book arrived today. She ordered 6 days ago.
Yeah, I think we're getting to that point of this where we had an email yesterday from the woman signed off, a disappointed customer. Similarly, because it took 6 days for the book to get there.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't know what these are.
Christina. I talked to Christina, and I just think it's really unprofessional that this book has not arrived. So, and she just doesn't seem like she knows what she's doing.
It's wild how quickly people will forget that we're living in a pandemic and that the USPS is literally crumbling.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Stephen, where can we find you?
We're at ptraisebooks.com, and order from your bookstore direct if you can. That's my mantra these days.
Yep. I think we're all on the same. Go for it, Emma. Where are you at?
riffraffpvd.com is our website. Riffraffpvd is our Twitter and Instagram and everything.
Perfect. And Shuchi, you want to give a shout out?
BrooklineBooksmith.com. But check out the Transnational series. We're doing some good stuff. So
Doing great things.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Well, thank you guys for doing this. It's been really fun.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks for having us. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not supposed to be here. Hey, we're not supposed to